Palantir is here to disrupt and, when it's necessary, to scare enemies and, on occasion, kill them.
Palantir's CEO Alex Karp is one of the most polarizing figures in business today. Some see him as a visionary that isn't afraid to speak his mind. Others, they watch him speak and they wonder how on earth anybody would ever trust their money with him.
Did you see this guy jumping around?
Look at him. Look at him. Hopefully I'm annoying you as much as 10 years ago.
Look at him. He's jumping around in his chair like a tumbleweed on crack. You tell me this guy's not on something.
But somehow, despite his oddities, his company, Palantir, continues to go from strength to strength. Its growth has been surprisingly good. Its stock price has roared, and it's drawn a lot of attention from investors. Many have seen their fortunes double, triple, or even 10x, while other notable names, like Michael Burry, are shorting the hell out of it, seeing it as all hype, no substance. So what the hell is going on here? Are we looking at the next business genius or an arrogant phony? And the question I want answered, is Palantir really worth its monster valuation?
We're doing it. We're doing it. And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am.
I don't think in win-lose. I think in domination.
Our product is used on occasion to kill people.
If you want to stop someone from crossing your border, you have to scare them.
The product is the best in the world. I'm going to make your company really, really financially strong. You know what? Tell everybody we're winning. We are winning.
Even I find that motivational.
Alex Karp, alongside Peter Thiel and 3 other colleagues, founded Palantir in 2003. The company, initially backed by In-Q-Tel, the CIA's venture capital arm, was named after the Seeing Stones from Lord of the Rings, powerful artifacts said to reveal hidden truths.
Seeing Stone, which is very powerful, it helps you understand the world better. It was meant to be used for good purposes. It is a potentially very dangerous technology. It's very powerful.
Now, the irony is that in Tolkien's world, the Seeing Stones don't really bring clarity. They mislead and they manipulate almost everybody who uses them. Either an awkward oversight in the naming of the company or ominously self-aware. Now, the company's mission has always been to develop systems that take vast amounts of data from many sources and they process it, they analyze it, and thus they help their customers make better decisions and draw better conclusions. That's essentially what they built in the early days, a system which they now call Gotham to do exactly that. Now, their first big break came in the mid-2000s, where after 9/11, US agencies realized that really they had all the data they needed, but it was scattered across dozens of systems that didn't really talk to each other. So Palantir's system was then able to link the people and the phone numbers and the emails and the travel records and the finances, and they showed the relationships and the timelines, not just the raw data. And this let the humans then explore various hypotheses interactively. And by all accounts, Palantir's software was really useful. Even in the commercial arena, in 2015, Airbus needed to ramp up production of the A350, a plane made up of roughly 5 million parts assembled by hundreds of teams across multiple countries. But by organizing and analyzing all of Airbus's data, Palantir was able to help them accelerate A350 deliveries by 33%. So it sounds very buzzwordy, but Palantir's data organization and analytics solutions were actually helping countries and businesses. And at the helm, an eccentric CEO by the name of Alex Karp, who was now starting to gain a bit of confidence, maybe too much.
With all respect, I am running the most important tech company in the world.
I have pretty strong opinions. Prove me wrong, I'd love to hear it. We're going to either have AI and determine the rules, or our adversaries will have it and they'll determine the rules. We're in an arms race here.
A lot of people come on this stage, they don't tell you actually what they think. They've got talking points, they've got plans, all of that. You don't have any of those things.
You brought me on stage, you know what you're getting. Okay.
While Alex Karp is one of Palantir's co-founders, he was actually brought into the business by Peter Thiel after Thiel had sold out of PayPal and was looking to use their fraud detection systems more extensively in wider applications.
Peter and I have been friends for almost 30 years. We met at Stanford. He was on the right side of many issues. He's a little more eclectic, I think, but mostly on the right, and I was mostly, if not exclusively, on more kind of a progressive side of things.
Karp got a degree in philosophy from Haverford College in Pennsylvania, but it was when he moved to Stanford Law School that he met Thiel. After realizing at law school that he simply couldn't do something he did not believe in, he joined the Palantir mission, which turned out to be a much better fit for his interests of saving lives and occasionally taking them too. As we spoke about earlier, Palantir was initially funded by Inquitel, but during this period, Alex Karp and his Palantirians were hardly the rock stars they are today. In fact, Alex was a much quieter left-wing computer geek, just trying to turn this company into something.
Alex Karp is here. He is the co-founder and CEO of Palantir Technologies. The company's data mining software is used by various government agencies in the United States, including the CIA, FBI, and NYPD. He does not do many television interviews. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It was in the post-9/11 war on terror and the subsequent wars in Iraq and Afghanistan that the company started to gain serious traction, which skyrocketed Karp's profile. Around this time, there was a lot of fear around terrorism, and Alex Karp basically capitalized on that. During the war on terror, Palantir's software became deeply embedded inside intelligence, defense, and law enforcement agencies. Those early deployments didn't make Palantir famous in the public markets, but they made it trusted within US intelligence, and Karp lent in. While most tech leaders avoided association with war, he framed Palantir's work as essential to national security and the defense of democracies.
America needs to establish dominance on the battlefield.
Did your company help to track and kill Osama bin Laden?
The closest thing to an answer is when you open the paper and look in the news, there's a 2/3 chance, depending on the country involved, that somehow my company was involved.
You wrote a book last year and you quote Samuel Huntington. The rise of the West was not made possible, quote, by the superiority of its ideas or values or religion, but rather by its superiority in applying organized violence. Is that what Palantir ultimately does?
I think one of the most interesting about that quote is it's indisputably and obviously true.
That willingness to carry the moral and political weight of the company turned Karp into a polarizing figure, but it also helped cement Palantir's position as mission-critical infrastructure. And it's that foundation, which was built long before profitability, that ultimately explains why, years later, Palantir's financial results began to catch up with its ambition. And boy, have they caught up. Ever since the company went public in September of 2020, their revenue has grown from $1.1 billion per year to now $1.1 billion per quarter. Their profit or net income has completely turned around from negative $1 billion in the 9 months to September 2020 to $1.023 billion in the comparable period of 2025. And the company is growing quickly too. In the 9 months to September 2024, the company posted a profit of just $390 million, representing a 162% rise year on year. And this is why Alex Karp has grown a cult-like following over the past few years. The guy seems absolutely mad, but under his leadership, the company is growing, and fast.
Palantir really hit the ball out of the park with Q3 earnings.
Take a listen to this. Revenue up 63%.
It's pretty good.
What we are seeing Palantir do is really unparalleled at this point.
In the next few years, Palantir has the potential to be $1 trillion market cap.
My hat's off to Palantir. I think they're a really great company.
Palantir is the best software company, and it's not even close.
So the real question isn't whether Palantir makes money, it's how. How does this once tiny CIA-backed data company turn into a massive market darling, generating billions in revenue? Well, it comes down to two core pillars. The first is government contracts. And you, like me, are probably wondering how the heck Palantir keeps winning so many of these flippin' contracts. In the 9 months to September 2025, government contracts accounted for over $1 billion of their $1.9 billion total segment operating income. And this sort of dominance dates back to the very founding of the company. You know, Palantir never had to break into government by pitching slick demos or undercutting competitors. It was lucky enough to be born inside the intelligence world. Thanks to its early backing by Inquitel, Palantir grew quietly within the US intelligence community, solving problems that other software couldn't handle at the time. Now, that work wasn't at all public, it wasn't glamorous, and it didn't generate headlines, but it did get them a good reputation within intelligence, a reputation that the company still leans on today. Once Palantir proved that it could operate inside classified environments, handle sensitive data securely, and actually make analysts more effective, word just naturally spread. What began with intelligence agencies expanded into defense, law enforcement, border security, and eventually the US military. Today, Palantir works extensively with organizations like the Department of Defense, the Army, the Air Force, and other allied government agencies. For example, last year, the US Army signed a massive deal with Palantir, consolidating 75 contracts into a single enterprise agreement with Palantir that will last for 10 years and have a ceiling of $10 billion. And while the company's government contracts are, of course, in the interest of American dominance, this is also where a lot of the controversy stems from, because it also enables things like this, and this, and this. The trigger for a lot of this controversy came in May of last year when the New York Times released this article suggesting that Palantir's expanding role within the US government, alongside Donald Trump's executive order calling for the federal government to share data across agencies, could potentially result in a master list of personal information on Americans that would give Donald Trump and his administration untold surveillance power over the population. This swept through the media like wildfire and really heightened the criticism of Palantir, criticism that seemed to strike a nerve with Alex Karp.
New York Times has an article. Here's the headline. Trump taps Palantir to compile data on Americans. They paint a pretty Orwellian picture of what you and the Trump administration are doing.
I was walking over here. I picked a random engineer and I said, by the way, we have a contest. Find all the technically absolutely erroneous things in this article in 90 seconds. And I picked a random engineer. I was like, well, how many do you think you could do in 90 seconds? He's like, well, 15, 20. But leaving aside the technical, look, it's
so it's
probably
wrong.
hard
Is that
for
what you're
them,
saying?
I'm sure. Well, it's not. Well, first of all, on the tech side, it is so ridiculous. I read the New York Times. It's literally like I'm a dyslexic. They might as well be hiring me to do a spelling bee. We have a contest. Find all the errors in 90 seconds. I think somebody will find 50 or 60. But the more important thing is we are not surveilling Americans. By the way, writing ridiculous shit in a highly charged environment is dangerous. And the New York Times should take responsibility for the danger they're putting out in the world. There really are people who believe that crap.
But beyond government contracts, another point that Alex Karp mentioned in that full interview with CNBC is that while everybody is talking about Palantir's growth within the US government, they're missing the other core business segment, which is commercial. One of the biggest moves in Palantir's success story was the creation of Palantir Foundry, which does much the same thing that Gotham does for governments, but this time for businesses. And in 2026, this is the second core pillar of Palantir's revenue. Realizing that corporations have much the same big data problems as governments, in 2016, Palantir officially released Foundry. And fast forward to today, in the 9 months to September 2025, commercial has contributed the other $889 million of Palantir's $1.96 billion of segment operating income. Today, Foundry is used by companies like BP and Airbus, United Airlines, Merck, and even the Ferrari Formula One team. And combining their commercial customers and their government contracts, as of September 2025, Palantir had, coincidentally, 911 customers, although their revenue is very concentrated at the top end, with their average revenue for the top 20 customers being $83 million. So without doubt, Palantir are posting some exceptional growth numbers. They're sinking their roots deep into government agencies and businesses, and with a product that, by all accounts, seems to be very effective. Hence, they're adding more and more customers every year. But there's one more layer to this story of Alex Karp's data behemoth, and this is where a lot of the controversy lies amongst investors, and that is Palantir's valuation. While Palantir has been posting solid financials, investors over the past 2 years have bid this stock up to the moon. Since the beginning of 2024, Palantir's stock has risen over 1,000%. But this gives Palantir an eye-watering valuation of $420 billion. Now, the problem with that number is that the earnings of the business are not even in the same postcode. And that gives Palantir a PE value today of around 415. The PE value simply tells us what multiple of the company's current annual earnings investors are willing to pay as a share price. For example, McDonald's investors are willing to pay around 25, 26 times the yearly earnings as a share price. For Nvidia, that number is 45. For Google, it's around 33. But then you have Palantir. Its current performance, investors are signing up for 415 years of current earnings before they make their money back. And that's an eye-watering number. This is why Michael Burry recently revealed through his 13F filings that he had bought put options against Palantir, betting that the share price would fall.
You had to release this information about your fund. You weren't advertising it to the world in any unusual way. You weren't going out and talking trash about Palantir. You just, this position gets released.
Right.
And then the next thing I do, I see Alex Karp, who runs Palantir, like going after you for owning puts on his stock. You're betting that Palantir is going to drop by a lot.
A lot. In 2 years.
But over a long period of time.
Right.
What do you understand about their business that the market doesn't?
Palantir had this reputation in government. Government contracts is a nasty business, and I think they figured out how to do it and get some contracts.
How much of their revenue is government contracts?
It was a majority, and now it's like more even.
Okay.
Because during the AI build out, they basically marketed themselves to corporations. Well, corporations have come to them. And now they're not the only, they keep saying they're the only ones, but IBM does basically the same thing. Their business is actually bigger than Palantir's, and they are not really all government. Government contracts are not generally that profitable. And so, you know, IBM's got a really good business inside it, but it doesn't get the credit for a Palantir valuation on that business, even though it is growing fast too. It's growing about as fast as Palantir, or was. And so, let me put it this way. There are, I think, 5 billionaires that came out of Palantir because they own Palantir stock, and the revenue was basically 4 billion. So the billionaires to revenue ratio was greater than 1, and I'd never seen that before.
Essentially, the stock price had been bid up so high, so far beyond business performance, that there are more billionaires that have been made out of Palantir stock than billions of dollars of annual revenue that the business creates. Now, this is pretty rational thinking from Michael Burry. He is an exceptionally analytical thinker, and it makes sense. But interestingly, this too struck a nerve with Alex Karp, who got very defensive at the idea that a big name investor was going against the Palantir herd.
You know, you look at the analysts, most analysts, you know, think that this stock is overpriced. You have people like Michael Burry out there shorting it. Everybody who's shorted this stock thus far has been on the losing end of it.
When I hear short sellers attacking what I believe is clearly the most important software company in America, and therefore in the world in terms of our impact, simply to make money and trying to call the AI revolution into question, it just is super triggering because these people, they could pick on any company in the world. They have to pick on the one that actually helps people, that actually has made money for the average person, that is actually supporting our warfighters. Why do they have to go after us? They thought Palantir was overvalued at 10. They thought it was overvalued at 20. I'm not even here saying what the valuation is, but they're in the business of being skeptical and being wrong, and we're in the business of giving an unfair advantage to American workers, American warfighters, and our investors. You know, currently, as far as I can tell, the two companies he's shorting are the ones making all the money, which is super weird. Like, the idea that chips and ontology is what you want to short is batshit crazy.
Is it just me, or does he sound a little bit defensive in that clip? But of course, this gets to the root of the issue. Rational investors like Michael Burry see how overvalued this business currently is, and they're betting against it. But on the other hand, it's in Alex Karp's best interest to sell the positives as much as possible, considering he himself owns over 6 million Palantir shares valued at $1.1 billion. And to balance this argument out, I'm not saying that Palantir can't grow into its valuation either. The thing to understand about PE ratios is they don't really tell you about the valuation. They tell you a lot more about investor expectation. So at a PE of over 400, investors expect exceptional growth to continue for many, many years, which would then normalize the PE value over time. Now, of course, that could happen. Think Nvidia a few years back. But if it doesn't, then that's how Michael Burry would make his money, as the PE ratio would correct itself, not by the earnings rising, but by the share price falling. But overall, that is the story on Palantir and their controversial and eccentric CEO, Alex Karp, the man at the helm. Definitely let me know what your thoughts are on Palantir. Are you on the Alex Karp bandwagon, or do you sit closer to Camp Burry? Let me know down in the comments. And one more thing, if you're interested in joining me and Phil Town for a full 3-day workshop in Atlanta, March 6th to 8th, you can secure your free ticket via the links in the description and pinned comment. That is a full 3-day education. We're gonna go through the entire Warren Buffett strategy, how to use options to generate cash flow as a value investor. And of course, we also host an exclusive barbecue at Phil's personal horse farm, which you will most certainly be invited to. Honestly, it's a really great time. Everybody absolutely loved it when we did it last time in September. Tickets are limited to just 300, so please, if you want to come along, lock in your free ticket via the link in the description and the pinned comment. And bring a friend as well. Make a weekend out of it. Come hang out. You won't regret it. All right. Thanks very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next video.